The following is a presentation of the Force Center podcast feed.
As Obi-Wan Kenobi once said, hello there and welcome to Force Center Presents Databank Dive. I'm Napzok.
And I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and this is indeed Databank Dive, where we look at the wild, the weird, the wondrous of Star Wars. We're always excited to find something special in Star Wars to talk about. If you enjoy this show, we did a first season on The Companion, a great sci-fi app that covers all sorts of different shows, so you can check that out. And of course, you can just keep listening to this show that's available for everybody, and that we meant to do for a little while and just kept doing because it's fun.
It's fun because, as Joe said, we take some of the wild things, some of the things we don't focus on as much, or things that are, even things from your early days of your childhood fandom that are tucked away in the back of your mind, and they cause a reaction when you dive into the character, the moment, the planet, something about it. And today we're going to kind of a recent one, Joseph. In fact, we're going as recent as 2019. Do you remember the heady days of 2019? We today are going to be talking about the Aki-Aki.
Yeah.
Yeah, here is what the StarWars.com databank has to say about the Aki-Aki. The native Aki-Aki of Pisana revere the duality of life, both tenacious and fragile, welcoming off-worlds with open arms during their biennial festival season, and when food and water are plentiful. Interesting side note, but between those colorful and joyous celebrations, the Aki-Aki live an austere life, gathering food and water for the next grand event, which we know at least one of the events takes place every 42 years. So more from Wookieepedia. According to Unkar Plot, now I didn't look up where this information comes from Unkar. I love that, though. Love it's traced to him. According to Unkar Plot, they were very literal. The Aki-Aki maintained a pre-Starflight level of civilization, but did adopt a number of advanced tools to aid in their life on Pisana. Aki-Aki history was not always peaceful. However, their species faced strife between scattered clans, though they eventually worked together to survive Pisana's harsh climate. Ooh, deep themes run through these characters. So overall, when you hear Aki-Aki, Joseph, what pops to mind for you?
Oh, just a great, joyous dance in a great party. That's the main thing that pops into my head. We'll get into kind of what these group of people symbolize and how they fit into Star Wars. But honestly, it's just like sometimes when I've been having, some time spent on darker parts of Star Wars, we're talking about Andor a lot, and you bring up the Aki-Aki, and it's just like somebody opened the window into a dank apartment. And you're like, happy things.
Yeah, I hear the music. I see the dance. I also see it in the behind-the-scenes documentary where they're teaching the dance to everybody. It's wonderful. There's something special about them that I just immediately gravitated to. There's kind of just this positive demeanor about them, and I do like the note about their welcoming to off-worlders because Rey and Poe and Finn, 3PO, Chewie, they're not the only off-worlders there. We see some other species, other humans in the background there. We'll get to Lando, of course. And I just kind of like that, too, what that represented right on the surface,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think for me in real life, there are sometimes like, you hear about a cultural event and you're like, oh, that's somebody's cultural event. And you really want to know, is that for your culture or are you, do you want outsiders there, And that I love that the Aki-Aki are like, yeah, this is our whole thing, but you're welcome. Come on.
Yeah, come on in. The joy of life. How would we physically describe the Aki-Aki? They're pretty distinct. And what do we like about their design?
It's so weird to try to sum it up. The best that I could come up with is they remind me of very dry squids. Because they're kind of squid-like with the face tentacles, right?
Yeah.
There's something really peaceful about the way their eyes just look very, very peaceful and wise and calm. But their heads are just like, they're squids, but they live in a desert. What? How could this be?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I would have loved to seen an Aki-Aki and a Mon Calamari have a sit-down conversation in a cafe about the two sides of life there. Yeah, I think that's a great way to look at it. That little was going to say seafood type of thing. That's not what I mean. Sorry, Aki-Aki, but the squid thing does kind of work for me. And I was fascinated about their location, that it would work. We're so used to seeing, even Squid Face in Star Wars, right? Going back to the old character. To see it in a different setting. I was fascinated by that. I love the robes, right? We got these flowing robes, colors, the vibrant colors. A lot of things to like about the design.
Yeah, the vibrant colors. It really, they look like if these colors were on a speeder, people would get mad. These are bright, varied colors, and I really like that. There's also this thing I just noticed on Wookieepedia, because I said face tentacles, because what are they? They are described as double prehensile trunks. So my apologies to the Aki-Aki for saying face tentacles.
That's hilarious. I love that. I don't know. There's something about the design I love that they're so very alien. They're so very pulpy Star Wars. Again, it's one of the things you and I kind of, I think, love about Rise of Skywalker. But the music, sounds, the dancing, the hand gestures, the robes, they're just kind of got this bigger than life feel, and they're so warm. And it shows in the design for me. Like you said, the eyes. You're right. They could have gone another direction with that. Maybe Six Eyes. I don't mind a good old Six Eyes character. It could have gone, but there's just something serene about the design that leads to warmth. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like seeing the variety in the species that some of them have double prehensile trunks and some of them just don't. They're different.
Right. They're different. The Aki-Aki represents some important concept in the Star Wars story, like community, joy, valuing others. This idea that, there's been some strife, but they kind of realize we are up against a harsh climate. We got to work together to survive that. That is important. What are some of your favorite Aki-Aki beliefs? Some of those mentioned, maybe other ones I have not put in there.
Yeah, I like what was in their databank entry of the duality of life, both tenacious and fragile. Oh, that's great, right? Because we can really slip into this person is strong, this person is weak, right? But this idea that you can be both at the same time, right? That you can kind of project out on social media or whatever, like look, I'm working hard, I'm getting things done, I'm sharing my power with everyone, and then. Yeah, but then also every part of my body hurts and I cried last night. Both are true.
Both are true.
Both are true. And I like that the Aki-Aki are like, totally get it. Absolutely. We're not putting you in a box. Tenacious and fragile. That's fine.
Yeah, it represents some big things there for Rey. I think you and I are both drawn to that too. It is. I'm not boiling down the Aki-Aki to this, but there was just this great purpose of them showing Rey joy in the galaxy, something she didn't necessarily grow up with, showing this vibrant culture, showing the youth of this culture, the future, the next generation, and this kind of a little bit of why she's there, why she's fighting, why she wants to use her powers for good, and why the fact that she at this point believes some of her powers might be of a darker nature or cause harm, why it might cause her apprehension. I thought that was one of the big things in what we got out of the Aki-Aki. Not overlooking them. They're their own culture, but I thought that was part of it too. And I guess it, Joseph, kind of boils down to joy for life. I don't know if I'm wrong with that, but...
Yeah, absolutely. I think just joy, respect, like the acknowledgement of this is a hard environment. Not everything is perfect, but we need to grab the reins and we need to celebrate, and share joy. And I think the fact that it's the festival of ancestors, right?
Yes.
And what's suggested by the line from Nambagimi that 3PO translates of be honored to know your family name. There's just a sense of, the past matters, tradition matters, respect matters. And I think all those little cues from that one line, translate out to all these great dancing beings with prehensile trunks.
With the flowing robes. Love the sequence. Love the music. So catchy to me. And I just love it. This isn't an episode about Rey, but to see her amongst them and just the smile on her face, it's not unlike I love Rey putting her hand out on Ahch-To and feeling the rain and just seeing her going out in the galaxy. Force Awakens. I never imagined so much green. It just builds on that in this wonderful, wonderful way. And I'm thankful for the Aki-Aki allowing outsiders there so Rey could experience that.
Absolutely. I almost wish that Rey had a matching line where she said, "I didn't know there was this many puppet shows in the whole galaxy."
And we could put that in. Put that in. So switching gears a little bit here. In Andor, we see two Aki-Aki traveling to Ferrix with the old traveling salesman and Luthen there on that space bus. So while it was never stated they don't travel, but even going to Wookieepedia here, the Aki-Aki maintained a Starflight level of civilization. None of that means they couldn't get on a ship at some point and fly around. Seeing them in Andor, did this appear unique to you? Kind of like the off-world Jaw was? Changed the way you look at the Aki-Aki? How'd you react to that?
Yeah, I mean, I was really intrigued because there is this just sort of reality production level that in the recent Disney Plus shows, there have been some like, what aliens that are still around.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And Aki-Aki pops up on the work speeder going back and forth to work in the Sand Whale meat station with Obi-Wan.
Correct.
And that I think is, you can, for me, I'm like, cool, Aki-Aki, that makes me happy. I like them. I think about the production reality, and then like, let's get rid of production reality and let's think about your question of, what does it mean? And I think I've kind of become obsessed with the idea that that's the same Aki-Aki. That one Aki-Aki was like, I got to follow my path. I like the ancestors. I like our tradition, but I want to see what's there for me, because we see the Aki-Aki on the transport 2 different times in Andor, right? In over a span of time. So it's like, that's just the bus this Aki-Aki takes every day.
I like that.
They venture out into the galaxy, maybe to do some tourism. It's in the era of the Empire. It's not going well for them. Yeah. I guess the Aki-Aki would have been working the Sand Whale station before that, if it's the same one. I don't think it's the same one, but I like imagining it.
Yeah, this is fascinating because then I'm trying to do some timeline math pretty quick, but maybe the Festival of the Ancestors we see in Rise of Skywalker, maybe the previous one was around the time this one was like, all right, I'm out. This is my last one for a while. And I like this Aki-Aki's Big Day Out, which is really just 2 decades out in the galaxy, viewing it in. And that was my follow-up is like, how do you think an Aki-Aki views the galaxy at large? Because they come from a pretty strong culture, a pretty connected culture, a pretty I would call them understanding and compassionate and empathetic culture. And despite maybe some people are going to overlook them because they're, quote, pre-Starflight level of civilization, I think they're very advanced emotionally. And then to go out in the galaxy, what do you fear that maybe they'd run into? But how do you think they view it?
Well, I feel like we've seen them in 2 not particularly great places. The Sand Whale work bus with Obi-Wan. And then... yeah, that transport on Ferrix isn't all that bad, but it is still the general boot of the Empire. So I don't know. I feel like that an Aki-Aki in the galaxy would spend a lot of time trying to say, wrestling with themselves of like, I really have some opinions about the culture of the galaxy at large during the Imperial reign. I don't want to be rude and impose my beliefs, but you all are messing this up.
Yeah. This is. It's almost like I'm fascinated with your idea here of this is one singular Aki-Aki going out there, and that maybe he might have been chosen, or they might have been chosen to go out into the galaxy and spread what we've learned. We've had some strife and we've worked through it. And that I keep saying he, it could be anyone, goes out. This Aki-Aki goes out and just runs into this wall of oppression, hopelessness, and gets caught up in it. But maybe escapes the work on Tatooine, maybe finds their way out of it. I'm fascinated. Just almost, I don't want to say like an Aki-Aki missionary, but I guess essentially that's what I'm pitching. But in this good way of I'm going to go out and spread joy and togetherness and community. Oh, the galaxy's not ready.
I love the image of this Aki-Aki making it back to Pisana, and a council of elders waiting to hear how the galaxy's doing, and this Aki-Aki's just like 2 thumbs down. Not great out there.
Not great. Let's get back to dancing. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be the way. Anyways, fascinated by that there. And there's some production realities to it, which are I love in a way, because then it forces us to have these kind of thoughts about, well, what's that Aki-Aki doing there?
Yep. Yep.
What is that about? There you go. There you go. Where else would you like to see Aki-Aki pop up? This is a question I had pre-planned, but I think we've kind of gone into it. What Star Wars location could use their wisdom, and what era? Maybe this is we go to another era.
Yeah, no, I got a celebratory one and maybe celebratory one too. I definitely just want to see them go to Endor and have like a cultural dance party exchange with the Ewoks.
Just the best, right? Just
Yeah.
the best.
Oh, Ewoks learning that dance, beauty,
Yeah.
just joyful. And then the other one, I was just like, okay, where's since the Aki-Aki are joy and community, I was like, well, where's that perspective needed? And like Mustafar, Vader's castle. And then it's like, what if Marin, the Night Sister we meet in the video game Jedi Fallen Order, encounters a very curious Aki-Aki, and they go back to Dathomir, and Marin teaches one of the Aki-Aki the ways of the Night Sisters.
I love this idea. I also love kind of a knock on the door at Mustafar's Vader's castle, Fortress Vader, and Vinay answers, and there's just an Aki-Aki like, hello, like, that would be fantastic.
I would be honored to know your family name. It's Vinay.
It's Vinay. It's Vinay. Who's in charge around here? I'd love to talk to them, but you don't want that. The Ewok one, indoor, no brainer. It has to be that. What I would absolutely love an Aki-Aki meeting an Ewok with a Gungan around, and just characters that value community, value the least of us is us as well, and you shouldn't overlook, and joy in the face of strife, and dancing and fun, and Wisa free. I want that moment.
Oh, yeah. The Gungans rock that parade in Phantom Menace. You're right. It should not leave them out of the cultural celebrations.
Yeah. Yeah. Just that's the trifecta I want. It sounds like a punchline, an Aki-Aki, an Ewok, and a Gungan walk into a space bar, but I'd like to see what happens after that. They could use it there. Yeah. Love that there. I wouldn't mind, even if we'll get a special edition, an Aki-Aki that maybe made some wrong decisions and ended up in Jabba's palace. Be fascinating to me too.
Yeah. One of the prehensile trunks has been lost and replaced with a mechno trunk.
Yeah, mechno trunk, and just kind of like a prodigal child that kind of rejects what is there for them on Pasana and goes out into galaxy and realizes made a huge mistake.
I've made a huge mistake. Yeah.
We're talking a lot about the Aki-Aki here, the designs, what they might do, but what about them is there for us to enjoy? What is the magic of the Aki-Aki? What do they add to this legend that we call Star Wars?
Well, I think, we talked about joy and community and all that and in the festival, and they're honest, but I think this just picture in Rise of Skywalker of a positive community, of a community that's working together, that's celebrating life, that is reaching out to have interactions with other communities. I think it's always, it's so easy in big genre storytelling where there's a hero trying to restore freedom, right? To go, well, what is that? What does it look like? What is Rey in the Resistance actually fighting to preserve, protect, allowed to grow? And like, well, here's a picture of it. This is the kind of joy that the First Order, the Final Order, Palpatine is going to stamp out of the galaxy. I think that's a big part of it to me. And then I think they're so fascinating all by themselves. But as you were saying, they reflect Rey's journey. And I think the sequel trilogies, big ideas that it's a festival of ancestors. They are honoring their past. They honor legacy. They honor the history of their own families. But they're also here living in the moment, right? And going to the fragile and tenacious. I love connecting that to Rey, right? Rey is a strong hero who overcomes great adversity to stand on her own 2 feet. But she also wants community, and wanting belonging does not make her independent strength less in any way.
I couldn't say it better myself, sir. A pitch for why the Aki-Aki are important and why all characters of these stories do have value and what they represent. And there's absolutely this magic of it that is weird Star Wars alien creature culture. We've seen that before. We've even talked about that before here, but what they mean, what they represent, and this idea in this final film of what we're fighting for makes a lot of sense. It's just people. Is just Aki-Aki as well, and they matter too. I'd like to see the post Rise of Skywalker, new Republic. You get an Aki-Aki senator up there too somewhere. Maybe they don't even have to leave Persona. Get some representation in the control of the government there. So a lot of magic indeed, and just a dance and tune that just slaps. If that term still applies, I don't know. Absolutely love it there. All right, we're going to take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to make this even more personal and give our final rating here. Stick around for more Databank Dive. All right, we are here. I'm Ken Napzok along with Joseph Scrimshaw. This is Force Center and our show, Databank Dive. We're having a lot of fun looking at the Aki-Aki. We talk about weird, wild, and wondrous. I think they check all those boxes pretty well. So just talking about the Aki-Aki, their culture, persona, they're open to outsiders. In fact, they welcome it. It's a harsh climate, this we know. The question I have, Joseph, after talking about them, talk about the dance and talk about their beliefs, would you want to pull a Lando, quote, pull a Lando, and stay on Persona and live amongst the Aki-Aki?
Look, I want to be tenacious and fragile like the Aki-Aki, but living in a desert, I think, would bring out my fragile side. So the only way I'm going to pull a Lando is if I have a guaranteed, basically mobile home, that treadable that he has the meeting with the rest of the resistance in. That could be converted into a nice little move-in apartment. You could have a little kitchenette in there. You could have a bunk. You could have a screen for hollows. You could probably play some video games. That's maybe some air conditioning. That's the only way I can live among the Aki-Akis. Is if I have a treadable apartment.
Yeah, it's a personal thing. I have an old friend, a cameraman from the Screen Junkies days, Ryan. He and his wonderful partner, they head on out into the wilderness and camp for 10 days. Not a stitch of electricity to their at their hands. Not me. I asked this question, and I feel I set us both up for failure. Lando was in a bad spot. He was searching for something in his life. And then, of course, his daughter. Bigger thing. Lando needed this trip to the desert. He needed this life, and I think it worked for him. But it also put him out of the fight a little bit, and he had to find his way back. But I don't think that's on Persona and the Aki-Aki. I get this question a lot. A lot of my friends are burners, and they're always like, would you ever go to Burning Man? And I say, I love what you all accomplish out there. I love what you try to do out there. But have they built a Hilton yet? Nope, they haven't built a Hilton there. Then I am not going to Burning Man. I think even with having that treadable, okay, I still think I'd pass through. I want to visit. I don't think I could live there.
Yeah, no, I've been enjoying taking more trips, enjoying more nature. I was never brought camping as a youth, so I never developed those skills. And like we went to Sequoia National Park. We went out from the hotel late at night and looked at those crystal clear stars. And my wife's like, "Isn't it beautiful?" And it's like, "Yes, it is." Also, I'm cold now. And both those things are true.
Yeah. But hey, there's one way we can honor the Aki-Aki, their culture, all their beliefs, and what they bring to the Star Wars story. We don't have to go to Burning Man. We don't have to go camping. Joseph, would you learn an Aki-Aki dance and lead everyone at a wedding or company party in this dance? Especially if it's like, Jennifer Landa, our wonderful podcasting partner, had a wonderful wedding years ago. It was Star Wars themed. It got covered, kind of went viral. So you could do this at a Star Wars wedding. But I want you to be braver than that. Would you just do this at a party?
I would instigate it. I would take place in it. But I would produce it, but I would ask someone else to star. Put it that way. I have in my life known many dancers. My wife is a dancer. My sister-in-law is a dancer. My wife's got a dance show coming up in Los Angeles. I have then been taught by actual dancers some dances to do for comedy's sake. And it's one of those things of like, I have many skills. I'm happy to take pride in the skills I have. Dancing is not one of them. So I would say, yes, I want there to be an Aki-Aki dance at this company party. but I am going to ask Jennifer Landa or my wife Sarah or some other dancer to lead it, to be the one in front showing everybody how to do it. And then I would do my clumsy, awful, broken version of it that I can manage. I would take part, but not lead.
We're in the same boat here. Now, a couple things come to mind here. Yeah, I forgot Jennifer's dancing skills are great, and also her ability to dance in public spaces like train stations, which is phenomenal stuff. Like some of her early YouTube videos. If you haven't seen those, check them out. They're great. So I think we'd have to ask Jennifer to lead us, and then I'm like you, I would slink off the dance floor. But here's the thing: 3 drinks in, you couldn't get me off the dance floor, and I'd be trying to teach everyone the Aki-Aki dance. So maybe one day it will come. I have to study it a little bit more. It's simple. It's when they try to teach us square dancing in 9th grade. At least that's what I learned in my school. Yep. I don't have the skills, but I definitely would try. Also, like it reminds me of being at the Lady Gaga concert. You and I were both at. I definitely did try to dance along there in my seat. It was not the best, but I did try. So I can get caught up in the moment and do it.
Oh, I love dancing. I danced my butt off at the Lady Gaga concert, and I will dance other places. It's the idea that I am somehow instructing other people to do this. Don't do what I'm doing. I'm in my own little world. Don't do it, for Lord's sake. Don't do what I'm doing. I do like what you're saying about drinks, because it's also, we have that experience where we end up sometimes Star Wars related places, sometimes just general social places, and Star Wars comes up, and we try to have polite conversations if people didn't like the certain things, including Rise of Skywalker comes up a lot. That a lot of people don't like it. Fair enough. It's really amusing me to think that like you and I would be at a party and somebody's like, Rise of Skywalker didn't work for me, and we'd be like, oh yeah. Well, what about this? And then we both just start doing the Aki-Aki dance.
Oh, Star Wars Celebration London, here we come. We're going to learn that for a pub out there. That would be amazing.
What about this?
Yeah. It'd be like some sort of, like we're in a West Side Story. We just dance fight. It'd be great. Asked and answered. Tough questions, great answers there. We're going to do our final rating here. We're going to rate the wild, weird, and yes, wondrous factor of the Aki-Aki. Our rating, as always, is based on one of the original Star Wars weirdos. We love them so much, Lobot. So, Joseph, out of 10 Lobot heads, 1 being the least, 10 being the most, how many Lobot heads do you give the Aki-Aki?
I'm going to go up to 7. We started with just wild and weird and on Databank Dive, and we added the third W, very, very good suggestion by you to add wondrous. I don't think they're that wild. I don't think they're that weird. I mean, I guess it's kind of wild and weird to meet a culture that just kind of seems to have their bleep together. I guess that is kind of wild and weird, but it's more wondrous to me. So I put them up there on a 7 for just how wondrous they are.
I love that take. I absolutely think you're right. Wild? Nah, they're actually pretty, nice folk. Very, very constrained. They're not going to upset the apple cart. They're going to have fun. They do the things. They have their beliefs. Weird? No, there's been weirder things in Star Wars. Very much weirder things in Star Wars. But wondrous, they are very wondrous. So I'm going to go right there with you at a 7. Stick that landing right there on that rating. 7 out of 10. Lobot heads for us on the Aki-Aki. What fun today. Joseph, any final thoughts on the Aki-Aki?
No, they're just, hey, for me, if you ever want to feel a burst of Star Wars happiness, I can just watch that scene of them dancing away. It's lovely.
It is lovely. Once the music hits, I start getting excited and smiling. We are out of here today, the 16th episode of Databank Dive, which was inspired by our Databank Brawl shows, which are still on our feed. You can find all of that by going to Twitter at Force Center Pod. We're on Instagram as well. From there, you find links, link trees to all the other shows and things we've done, Patreon page, and otherwise merch, all stuff like that. Otherwise, you can just follow me at Ken Napzok or go to my website, kennapzok.com. Joseph, where can they find and follow you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Instagram, TikTok is at Joseph Scrimshaw. And if you want to check out some of the other work I do, you can check out my YouTube channel where I'm posting some more comedy bits, some short videos of not opening my Star Wars action figures, and some short films. In particular, I got one up there right now called Peace Fight. It's about 4 minutes long. It's comedy. It's horror. It's got me. It's got Ken. It's got Mark Ellis. So if you want to check that out, you can go to YouTube and just search for Joseph Scrimshaw.
There you go, my friends. All right, so for the Aki-Aki, enjoy. We'll see you next time here on Databank Dive.